Hello, DevOps friends. Happy Friday, everyone. Welcome to Full Stack Live. I'm Jochen, the Monospace Mentor, and today is my office hour, as the ticker already told you. So, office hour means that I didn't have to prepare anything for today's stream because it's up to you to ask questions and then it's up to me to come up with an answer that is useful. Let's see how well I'm able to do that. And so if there's anything that you'd like to ask, if it's about Ruby coding, Linux system administration, DevOps, SRE, software engineering in general, career questions, all these things, that's what the office hour is for, and that's why I'm sitting here trying to answer your questions. If you have questions, then go to qa.monospacementor.com and ask your question there. Don't have to log in. There is no user account necessary, anything like that. You can go right there and add your question to the list. You can also upvote questions from others, and I'll pick them one by one. It is a Unix system, isn't it? Sarah Bronx, welcome to the stream. Welcome to the stack. So yeah, go to qa.monospacementor.com. I'll pick your questions and get them on screen so everyone knows what I'm talking about. And if you like questions that others have posted, then give them a like so I see what the more popular questions are. And yeah, I'll be sitting here waiting for questions to come in. They can be technical, they can be about IT career, things like that. I'm happy to demonstrate things in the terminal if that is useful and possible on such a short notice. So yeah, go ahead, go to qa.monospacementor.com, add your questions there, and we'll go from there. This is my second stream this week. I just returned from Easter holidays. I did a live coding stream yesterday. Due to work schedule, I couldn't do a live stream on Tuesday. Hopefully next week will be the full schedule with live coding streams on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and of course the office hour on Friday again. And I also scheduled another community hangout for Tuesday night, which is where we get together on Discord in a voice call and simply have a casual chat about whatever tickles our fancy. BitSpectre, hello, welcome to the stack. So if you'd like to join us in Discord for the community hangout or in general, then go to monospacemonitor.com/discord and you'll get the invite link there. There was a strange effect earlier when Sarah Bronx redeemed the Unix reward. And I'll have to investigate that. Some kind of a grey overlay that wasn't supposed to be there. I'll have to take a look. Sorry for the low quality there. We can do better. BitSpectre asked, how was your break? I had a good time. So I went to Germany visiting family for 2 weeks. The first week I worked from there. Built myself a little workplace in my bedroom and did my work from there. Thankfully, everything is online based, and so that wasn't too bad. My wife was nice enough to also send me my spare 22-inch monitor from here in Ireland, and that way I had quite the nice workstation in the end. But the unfortunately, due to Easter, the package took almost 2 weeks to arrive. So it only arrived when I was in my second week, which was the week that I had taken off work. And that was the week that I needed and used to recharge my batteries. So I'm pretty much recharged. However, this was quite the taxing week, to be honest. Lots of video calls and stuff like that, and also other unplanned incidents that cost me a little bit of sleep. So today I feel a little bit tired, to be honest. I try to not dampen the mood too much and try and get a little bit of energy into this stream, but I'll definitely take a nap later, I'll be honest. And until then, it's going to be the good old caffeine. Thanks for asking, Spectre. That's very kind of you, actually. Again, people, go to qa.monospacementor.com if you have any questions that you'd like me to answer. Post them there. I'll get them on screen, and then we'll talk about them. That's all what this stream today is going to be about. Your questions. Or lack thereof. Yeah, I do like the keyboards, and yeah, I like them a lot. The white one with the blue keys is more or less a replica of the old Macintosh Pro, Macintosh Plus keyboard, but in aluminium. So yeah, that's pretty heavy. The white one, that's about 3 kilos, I think, and the beige one next to it isn't lighter either, because it's a new Model F keyboard built in the same way, in the identical way as the early buckling spring keyboards that IBM delivered with their mini computers and terminals. So the beige one is as heavy as the white one. You can really use it as a personal defensive weapon. And the Model F keyboard also is tremendously loud with its buckling spring keys. But that's just the fun of it. Yeah, retro tech is something that you still, or at least if you want to have something modern that replicates old retro stuff, you need to get that manufactured, and that's of course pretty expensive. Bitspector says, I used to have a box of the old IBM keyboards as well as 286 IBM PS2 computers. If only that still exists. Yeah, the PS2 were great. Great, nice industrial design. I liked the red toggle switches they had. They made a nice little clunk when you turned them on. And the IBM keyboards that came with the PS2s. I wonder if those were still Model M keyboards. I am not sure if they still were buckling spring keyboards or if they had changed to more modern but less interesting switches. And those were expensive as well. I mean, nothing that came from IBM was really cheap, I guess. What's nice about the beige keyboard up here is that it's completely built new. Someone in the mechanical keyboard community, who must be a complete maniac, took it upon themselves to find a factory and get those keyboards manufactured to plans that were basically derived from the original Model F keyboards. So this is a newly built factory fresh keyboard, or it was at least when I got it, using buckling spring keys, just like in the olden days. It's also zinc casing or steel casing, I'm not really sure, powder coated. So yeah, I really love that keyboard. Since we don't have any questions yet, let me grab that keyboard off the shelf and demonstrate it to you. So here's that case. And these are the key switches. Isn't it gorgeous? Aw, I'm sorry. OBS filters are too good. I should have a mode where I can turn all of these off and get the original audio. Need to remind myself to build a keyboard demonstration scene without any filters and compressing and things like that. Exactly. The thock and clack scene. But hey, if you're curious, simply look up new Model F keyboard on YouTube and you'll find nice demonstrations of the sound. Random P1 Gens, welcome to the stack. There is a question, and even though it's not on qa.monospacementor.com, I will be happy to answer that. What are books you would recommend? DevOps, software development, related ones, of course. Something that springs to mind immediately would be the Practical Object-Oriented Design book from Sandy Metz. It's based on Ruby, which is my favorite programming language. But everything in there, or almost everything in there, will be applicable to all object-oriented languages. And having a solid foundation of what patterns are good ones and how design can be of different quality, that's definitely something I think every software developer or software engineer should know about. I mean, of course, if you do functional programming, the paradigm will be a little bit different. But if you are working in something that is object-oriented design is definitely something that I would recommend, and even as much that I created a command for that. Other than that, depends really on what you want to learn, because of course there are thousands and thousands of books, some of them good, and it depends on if you want to have something more meta, like for example the Site Reliability Engineering book that a team from Google wrote about SRE and how SRE is practiced at Google. That is something that is more about the job and about collaboration and things like that. It's not about implementing stuff on a technical level. So what exactly do you have in mind? Are you just bored and looking for something to read, or do you have a more specific problem that you're trying to solve, or a more specific question that you'd like to ask? And Praxeus, good morning to you too. Happy to have you here. Again, people, if you have any questions, share them on qa.monospacementor.com, because that's where I can collect your questions, where I can highlight which questions I'm currently responding to. You can also like questions from other people and give them more priority. So that's why that Q&A platform is there, and it's anonymous. You don't have to log in or anything. You can go right there and post your question. Beth is joining us as well. The gang is getting together again. That's great. Random Poachens says, I guess more in the lines of improving, nothing really specific in mind, which is definitely also a valid point of view. Let me think. I guess I have something for you, but I'll have to look it up because I haven't read it myself yet. So give me a second while I consult my notes. Where's my reading list? And the want to read list, which is always growing. Let me see, what are you about? That's not what I was looking for. That is strange. You know, I was looking for a book about learning, because you said it yourself, you want to improve, you want to learn more about the trade, and I thought I had a book in there that wasn't about teaching, which is what I am looking into the most at the moment. But there was also one about learning, and I'm confused that I can't find it in my want to read list. Other than that, there's a book that I read recently that also gave me a lot of inspiration, and that is Time Off by John Fitch and two more authors. Time Off by John Fitch, which is about what the title says, about taking time off and how important it is to take time off if we want to grow. And I recently recommended that in my newsletter and in the blog post that I posted yesterday. So yeah, Time Off is definitely among the books that are a little bit counterintuitive, because they're not about learning and grinding and cramming stuff into our brains. It's about giving ourselves the opportunity to rest and to recover, give our brain the opportunity to grow and process what you've been learning. So that's definitely something that I would recommend as well. Proxeus says, the day my want to read list is empty is the day I walk into the ocean. Same, I guess. For someone who's been a lifelong learner, I wouldn't expect my reading list to become empty anytime soon. And once it does, that's definitely going to be a bad sign. And we have a question on the qa.monospacementor.com site. So let's get that on screen. What are your thoughts on using containers for bespoke compiling environments? Example for example, Rust. Containers are definitely a good way to create environments that are clean and where you can install a lot of stuff, like, for example, lots of Rust crates and stuff like that. Being able to throw them away after they're not needed anymore is really nice. Back in the day, we compiled all kinds of stuff because that was the only way to get software on our machines. So the usual 3-step of /configure make and then make install, or sudo make install even, was ubiquitous, and over time our machines more and more clogged up with stuff that at least in part wasn't necessary anymore. And now having all that stuff compartmentalized in one or more containers is really great. And in the last year I spoke a lot about using Toolbox and DistroBox, which are two similar tools that allow you to create containers that are tightly integrated with your host machine. For example, they import your home directory and all these things, and they also are able to interact with your system. For example, you can even create, say, an Ubuntu distro box on a Fedora Linux machine and install graphical applications on that containerized Ubuntu and start them, and their windows will pop up on your Fedora machine, which is really nice if you need some kind of an application that for some reason you can't or don't want to install on your host machine. What I started trying out is something Nix based, which is called dev containers. No, dev containers is what's used with VS Code and other IDEs. Is it called dev pods? What is it called actually? Give me a second. Where's my shell? It's dev-pod. Yeah, dev pod. And I haven't done much with it, but DevPod is also a nice way to do that. It uses Nix shell to get your compartmentalized stuff, and you can also do something that's that I would describe as a mini Nix. So those pods can be described by a single file. You can tell the DevPod to install specific packages, and the effect is basically the same as with Toolbox or DistroBox. You get a shell, and in there you can install all kinds of stuff, but it doesn't pollute your host system. Praxeus asks, what container engine does DevPod use? QEMU. I think it uses whatever you have on your machine. However, I'm not 100% sure. As I said, I just started using that over my Easter holidays, and it looked like fun, but I didn't put much time in it. So let me see. Yeah, I actually didn't install it on my workstation. I should have a look at my laptop for that. Give me just a second for me to actually research that. So DevPod might actually be a false a red herring here, because I looked on my workstation and DevPod was the only thing that I discovered, but it might actually not be what I installed. But there is a suggestion: say goodbye to containers, ephemeral environments with Nix shell. That's Nix shell, yeah. I'll have to look that up, actually. I'm afraid I'm getting confused by what's on my machine, what's not. Let me see. Dev. It was something dev. Nix dev pods. Was it no? Dev pod, open source dev environments. Let's see if I can identify that. So we are Linux on AMD. Definitely was another callbash. Loft. I don't think it was DevPod. DevPod is something that I remember being another alternative, but I'd have to pull out the laptop and see what it was that I experienced, because I don't remember doing DevPod provider add Docker, which answers your question, Praxeus. But yeah, I'll actually go and grab my laptop. Because, yeah, I do enjoy talking about stuff that I have actually experience in. But to come back to the question here, bespoke compiler environments, all these containers and Nix shell-based solutions are great because they keep the undergrowth at bay, and you don't pollute your host system, and you don't have stuff lying around that you might have used years ago, but still lingers around in your home directory. So yeah, definitely a good approach, I would say. Razor Beckett is joining us again. Can you tell me a tool you wrote, might be a simple script, but still helps you today? Good question. I think most of the tools that I wrote during my career were made obsolete by other open source solutions that were more thought through, more versatile, more feature rich, and things like that. So while I had a lot of scripts in my home/bin directory back in the day, that not so much anymore. And so I can't think of anything that I've created lately where I said, yeah, that still helps me today. I mean, the experience of building these tools myself over time definitely is something that I can still benefit from nowadays. So I guess for me, it's more the skills that I acquired building these tools than the tools themselves. Again, if you have any questions, post them to qa.monospacementor.com. And I'll pull out my laptop to see, simply to refresh my memory. Now I'm curious myself what that was that I experimented with. Waiting for the disk encryption to pop up. Ah, here we go. The laptop I'm using is a Tuxedo Infinibook 14, which is a very lightweight and medium capacity laptop. It's nothing in terms of power to write home about, but when I'm underway, I don't really need many cores or a dedicated GPU or something like that. So that's nice. And I wanted to have a laptop where I could be sure that Linux would work nicely on. And that's why I bought it from Tuxedo, which is a European manufacturer of Linux machines. What I like about the Infinity Book 14 is that it's really, really lightweight. It's in the Ultrabook class of laptops, and it has a nice 3K 14-inch screen, and yeah, it's really fun to use. So let's pop up the shell already. Enter my SSH passphrase, and now let's find out whatever I was doing. Everything that I got confused. I did remember dev pods, but if I enter pod in my shell history, only shows me podman commands. If I enter dev, I see what that was. Okay, so what I wanted to talk about but didn't know was DevBox. DevBox. Let's look that up. Yeah, from Jetpack, exactly. So that's what I was talking about. Okay, let's wait until the ad break is over, but you can simply go to jetify.com/devbox, and that's another alternative in terms of isolated dev environments. Let me power down the laptop again. Question. Or memory refreshed. I'll take the opportunity to charge it. Balthasar says, I'm still kind of waking up here. Was up until 1 a.m. working, didn't get to sleep until after 2. I hope you had fun. I hope you weren't under time pressure. Yeah, I can relate. I'm also still waking up here, even though I got out of bed hours ago. I'm a little bit tired. The week was pretty taxing, to be honest. I only had 3 work days from Wednesday. Well, no, that's not true. While I had taken Tuesday off officially from work, I still had scheduled the second part of my varnish course for the afternoon. So I did a 3-hour course on Tuesday afternoon on varnish. That definitely counts as draining. And then we had to deal with a little bit of a fallout. Well, not fallout. We had issues with our marketing agency, who presented us a new quote that had in part quintupled the cost. So we had to intervene there. And other than that, as I told you yesterday on my live coding stream, my wife also had to take our son to the emergency room, to A&E, to get a gash fixed after he got a branch thrown at him by a friend. And yeah, it turned out as I expected. They had to wait 4 hours in A&E for a 5-minute procedure where the nurse basically glued together the gash and put a plaster over it, and that was it. Can't imagine the amount of patience that I would have to muster to spend 4 hours to get that done. And they returned at 2 a.m. in the morning. So while I got to sleep earlier, but also only about midnight. So I feel it in my bones that this week wasn't really kind to myself. Balthasar says I had some fun. There was a deadline. Okay. Yeah, Praxeus, I'll definitely get some rest over the weekend. I'll also have to get some writing done, but I'm starting to really enjoy writing, even though it's under deadline, especially due to my weekly newsletter. Yeah, writing is becoming a new skill for myself, and I really enjoy it. So that won't take away from getting a restful weekend. Tomorrow will probably be a cleaning day. We'll have to clean everything. I can see that this office hasn't been cleaned in 3 weeks. So then it needs to be something done. And I'll do some writing. And on Sunday, I plan to go outside, weather allowing. I'll grab my walking stick and try and find some places where I could do some wild camping. Which is not too easy because I'm living basically in the or near the Wicklow Mountains here in Ireland, so everything is on a slope. It's so far it's been really hard for me to find any place where I could put up a tent without waking up a dozen meters downhill the next morning. If you've just joined us, please go to qa.monospacementor.com where you can ask your questions, because this is the office hour where I answer questions from you, the viewers, and nothing else. Let me see what that Unix graphics glitch was. Unix. Is that something that... Okay, that's in Twitch apparently, huh? Let me see. Or is it? No, it can't be Stream Elements, can it? It is Atom. It's a Twitch reward. But that's here. So let me trigger that. Wait. Okay, we can definitely make that bigger. But I'll take care of that after the stream. I think it was the Twitch announcement about the redemption clashing with the actual video clip. Praxeus already rubbing his hands. Here's an interesting question that is definitely worth covering. Have you tried Copilot? What are your thoughts about AI being trained on... And Balthazar snatched that from you, Praxeus. I'll get to the RTFM in a minute, Balthazar. Thank you for redeeming that. Thank you for spending your... Oh, okay, you chose it for Praxeus. Okay, that's very kind. Gifting a channel point redemption. That's amazing. Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute. 8962. I have no idea what that is, but I don't have to know what it is. I'll just have to RTFM. But let's first... let's leave that in the redemption queue for a minute and answer the question. Have you tried Copilot? What are your thoughts about AI being trained on copywritten material? Well, I'm not going to sit here and say I don't care about that, will I? I did try Copilot, and I do actually have it integrated with NeoVim, and I find it's a spookily great way to get autocompletion in your editor. I've never integrated in a way where I would rely on it to give me complete code snippets for something that I don't know how to do. I think if I were to ask an AI system or an LLM, let's be precise, how to do things, I would probably still fall back on ChatGPT. Copilot is a very time-saving tool for me in terms of autocompletion, because it seems to be reading my mind about things that I wanted to write anyway, and then I just press tab and have it inserted in my editor. That's really nice. One of the reasons why I haven't integrated LLMs into my workflow in any significant way is probably because of the second part of the question, which is being trained on copywritten material, or even worse, trained on everything they could get hold of, regardless of the license it was published under. And that's something that we really, really need to get under control. In terms of texts and in terms of other artwork like music and pictures as well. That's just not right. And I mean, apparently everyone in there is trying to create a precedent that it's perfectly okay to take all that stuff because look at what the results are. But it's a very old saying, the ends don't justify the means. And so, yeah, I guess we will need some kind of regulation in terms of that. And I think thoughts on this are already underway, basically in square quotes, but if we're talking about politics, having a first steps towards regulation and towards reining in what's possible and what does get done using LLMs, not having to wait for years is probably a good thing. I'm not a fan of AI companies grabbing everything they can. And just earlier today, I learned that Kagi.com, the search engine, is also pretty shady in terms of using stuff for AI. And the CEO also seems to be quite the creep, from what I read on Mastodon. And so I did actually cancel my subscription. I try to be really consequent in my decisions in what I use and what I don't use. And I will revisit using things like ChatGPT and Copilot over time. but I'll definitely make sure not to support stuff that is shady with my money. So I'm not paying for ChatGPT. I do pay for Copilot simply because I wanted to try it out, and it does actually make me a little bit more productive. And as I said, I'll definitely revisit that decision eventually. That's my at least superficial thoughts on the topic. If you want to know anything more specific, feel free to ask. And another question here: have you ever contributed to an RFC? What was the process like? I have not. I am not as deep in the foundational fabric of the internet that I would have contributed to, at least not to an internet RFC. But I did contribute to internal RFCs because at my company we try to use the same approach to make a more heavyweight decisions in terms of systems architecture and stuff like that. And since we are a remote first company and everyone's working asynchronously, we adopted an RFC-like process where people first write basically a submission, what they are thinking about and approaches they have considered for a specific problem. And then there is a discussion period, and the RFC might then be laid to rest if there is no decision to be made, or if there is if we need a decision, we'll then make it. And that is a process that I really like because it is, again, asynchronous. Someone can take their sweet time writing an RFC, elaborating on the things they have considered and not considered, things they options they have and risks there are, and then you can take as a recipient, you can take your time reading that, thinking about it, mulling it over, and in the end then see what comes of it. And so as someone who really prefers asynchronous work, which is, for example, also why we switched from Slack to Zulip as our chat and communication system, because it's much more asynchronous. I do like an RFC-like process, and that is definitely something that I like. Also, of course, there's always an audit trail. You can see when an RFC was submitted. You can reread what was proposed. You can also then uncover again what decision was made and why it was made. So transparency and historical accuracy is also benefits of that approach, where otherwise, if things get done in a more synchronous manner, maybe decisions are made on a Zoom call or something like that. If there's no proper documentation or a recording of that call, then you might be wondering years later, why did we actually decide for or against that? I don't quite remember. It made sense at the time, but I have no idea. So this RFC process, where everything gets documented by design, is definitely something that's worth exploring. Now, someone who will not be named, requested an RTFM, and exactly the RFC 8962. Let me get that on my screen. RFC 8962. Really? Okay, let me skim over this so I can actually decide what to read and what's going to be more boring. Oh dear God. Okay. It's one of the more recent ones. I mean, yeah, as you can tell from the number as well, but... Oh, nice. Nice, nice, nice. Oh, there's lots of stuff in there, but yeah, let's see. All right, so that's me reading the fucking manual, in this case RFC 8962, establishing the protocol police. Abstract. One mantra of the IETF is, we are not the protocol police. However, to ensure that protocols are implemented and deployed in full compliance with the IETF standards, it is important to set up a body that is responsible for assessing and enforcing correct protocol behavior. This document formally establishes the protocol police. It defines the body and sets out what aspects the IETF protocols they will police. This document acts as a point of reference for networking engineers, law enforcement officials, government representatives, and others. It also provides advice on how to report issues to the protocol police. Status of this memo. This document is not an Internet Standards Track specification. It is published for informational purposes. We'll skip the copyright notice and go right to introduction. IETF participants are often confronted with circumstances where developers or deployers choose to not obey the sacrosanct words of an RFC. This can lead to outcomes that are widely agreed to be unexpected, unwarranted, or undesirable. Some are of the opinion that IETF participants should come to a consensus and declare what protocol behavior is unacceptable, and that the maintainers and developers of non-compliant protocols should be chastised. Others, especially working group chairs, non-gracefully fall back on the undocumented mantra, we, or the IETF, are not the protocol police. Understandably, this has led to confusion about who should make judgments about proper interpretation of protocol specifications. This document formally establishes the protocol police, hitherto undocumented at the IETF. It defines the body and sets out what aspects of IETF protocols they will police. This document acts as a point of reference for networking engineers, law enforcement officials, government representatives, and others. It also provides advice on how to report issues to the protocol police. The protocol police, as defined in this document, are responsible for enforcing all IETF standards and best practices. Section 2, definitions. For possibly the first time in IETF history, words like shall and may are used in this document in their real and enforceable sense. Section 3. Composition of the Protocol Police. The Protocol Police shall be selected by the IETF Nominating Committee, NOMCOM, as laid out in RFC 3797, in a manner similar to what used to select the IAB and IESG, see RFC 8713. However, the members of the Protocol Police shall not be publicly named. This will enable them to operate more effectively and without interference or unwarranted pressure from members of the community. The first rule of the Protocol Police is ciphertext. Redacted. Section 3.1, recognizing the Protocol Police. When more than one person says we are not the Protocol Police, at least one of them is not telling the truth. The Protocol Police love company and are never alone. You are not the Protocol Police. We are. We are not the Protocol Police. You are. Section 3.2, recruitment. If you are interested in joining the protocol police, contact your local host. Your behavior will be monitored and your implementation will be analyzed for full RFC compliance. If your deeds, both now and in the past, are recognized to be true to the scripture, Nomcom will of course be instructed to induct you to the ranks. But if you have transgressed, any information the investigation produces may be used against you in future proceedings. In making an assessment of your suitability for membership of the protocol police, contact may be made on your behalf with the Internet Moral Majority. See also RFC 4041. If you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to fear. Section 4. Support for the protocol police. Support for the existence and operation of the protocol police is essential to the concept of policing by consent. Fortunately, the IETF community and all stakeholders may now consider themselves served by this document, which, by dint of its existence, warrants adherence. Section 5. Punishable offences. Section 5.1. Protocol layer violations. Some boundaries must not be crossed. There are no acceptable layer violations. Even though layers, like borders, are ambiguous abstractions, only serving to uphold the legitimacy and identity of the institutions that produce them, they shall be observed and defended because the protocol police exists to defend them. Subsection 5.2. Deliberate non-interoperability. The protocol police are sanctioned to gain access to any walled garden that undermines interoperability. At the same time, the protocol police will defend legacy interoperability options in all NTP eras. See Section 6 of RFC 5905. And will be reachable via the Extensible Messaging and Presence Protocol XMPP until at least era 2147483649. Subsection 5.3 is obeying RFCs. In the beginning was the RFC, and the network was with the RFC, and the RFC was with the network. Through the RFC, all things were made. Without the RFC, nothing was made that has been made. In the network was life, and that life was the light of all the internet. Thou shalt not deviate from the path set out in the RFCs, or else thou shalt be scattered over the data plane. Section 6. Reporting offences. Send all your reports of possible violations and all tips about wrongdoing to /dev/null. The protocol police are listening and will take care of it. Section 7. Punishment. Subsection 7.1. Traffic imprisonment. The protocol police will maintain a list of hosts and clients that have demonstrated their inability to comprehend simple commandments contained in RFCs, which all IETF participants know to be precise and accessible even to a general audience. If this work is standardized, IANA is requested to register the list of addresses, see Section 9, for a period specified in an official notification. All other networks shall drop all network packets originating from or intended for such addresses. This will result in effective and forced confinement of criminal networks. Using powerful machine learning mechanisms for threat analysis, the protocol police will identify networks that are likely to fail to comply with this requirement. This process is known as heuristic internet policing. HIP. Networks identified in this way will be disciplined by the protocol police with TCP RSTs. Let it be known, the protocol police always shoot from the HIP. Section 8. Morality considerations. This section contains morality considerations consistent with the demands of RFC 4041. We reject kings, presidents, and voting. We believe in rough consensus and running code. We only bow down to the protocol police. My friend Dave. Whoop whoop, this is the protocol police. Whoop whoop, that's the packet of the beast. KRS 0 after spotting an evil bit. And finally, for this reading section, subsection 8.1, oversight. All police forces must be accountable and subject to oversight. The protocol police take full responsibility for oversight of their actions and promise to overlook all activities. I hope you had at least as much fun as I had reading this. This is something. And yeah, thanks for redeeming that, Balthazar. Especially thanks Square for redeeming it for Praxeus. And thank you, Praxeus, for selecting this RFC for my dramatic reading of an RFC document. It was longer than usual, but it was just too much fun to keep going. Basic Panther also amused. Happy to see that. Welcome to the stack. Definitely 12 out of 10 want to join the protocol police. They seem to be a great bunch. Of course, this all distracted you so much that you did not submit any further questions to qa.monospacementor.com, where you were supposed to post questions. And since there is an ad break anyway, we'll take a break. And yeah, we are past the hour anyway. So if you are still watching this, that's your opportunity to still submit questions. Otherwise, we'll probably wrap this up eventually. Sooner than later. Of course, I had to ask. I'll leave the new question until the ad break is over. And we're back from the ad break. Thanks for bearing with us here. So there is another question, and that's going to be the final question for today. And the question is, which are better, questions or answers? And my answer is, none of them are, because questions and answers are all just like the rustling of leaves in the wind. Thanks for joining me for this office hour. This was great fun. I will now say goodbye and leave into the weekend. And I'll see you next week for my live coding stream and my office hour on Friday. If you're interested in what's happening, actually, I would recommend you go to monospacementor.com, click on news up there, and then go to events. And see, that's a good idea, because that reminds me that there is going to be another community hangout on our Discord server next week, Tuesday evening at 8 p.m. Irish and UK time. If you want to join us there, join us on Discord and join us in the Hangouts channel on Tuesday night. Before that, there's going to be another live coding stream, as you can see. So I hope to see you there as well. And until next week, I'd say, have a great weekend, everyone, and take care.